Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our review. This is the Headspace podcast, which is a show where we review the new hip-hop albums track by track. We go through them and discuss them. My name is Holden Stephan Roy, or HSR, depending on how you know me. This is...
Chris Chrome.
That's who that is. And now I'm going to get to what I was trying to say. We're reviewing the highly anticipated, as I discovered after I googled, album from Madlib, who's a fucking dope-ass motherfucking producer, and a dope-ass motherfucking rapper by the name of Freddie Gibbs. There goes any good rating on this video for being family-friendly, but they're both dope-ass motherfuckers. I had to say it off the front. So if you want to skip our little intro bit, because I know I talk a lot, check the description of the video, just in case some tangent comes up that forget to tell you about. On that note, I want to start this off letting you know I'm not like a professional at this reviewing thing. We just do this because we're curious about learning, seeing what's actually coming out, understanding some shit, just making sense of what's good and what albums are out. Because I know for me, at least, I wasn't listening to albums before I started doing this review, and now I just almost only want to listen to albums. So Freddie Gibbs and Madlib put together this beautiful project, and instead of just listening to the single and moving on, let's take some time and like go through this like piece of art that was created by these two fine fellows. Anyway,
I usually find that when you listen to albums, though, you can get like I tend to end up liking more of the songs on the album than I do the single at the end of the day.
A lot of people, I think, share that sentiment, and you can let us know if you also do. But and that's a good segue into the part where I like to point out that we love your comments, because through your comments we grow. And as we basically talk about stuff, we tend to make some silly blunders or show how ignorant we are, which I'm pretty open about in the beginning. And then fine folk will comment. As an example, wonderful person gave us some good information. Last week I talked about Benny the Butcher and his album The Plugs I Met. I could tell you one thing, exciting project, you should check it out. But on that, Marvin Rock said Dapper Dan was a designer in the 80s that made clothes for drug dealers and celebrities. Thank you. I feel like I did know that and I forgot when I was talking about it, but in light of the foolish shit I said and not bringing that up, it's so helpful. Everyone reads the comments, so if you put some helpful shit in the comments, you like enhance the review and you're like a part of it, and that makes you cool person who comments. That's my opinion. We'll get into it real shortly. We're going to give a special thanks to the patrons: Ismail Gadamsi, Chris Prado, DJ Black, Hurricane, Linda Williamson, Jonathan Barnes. I say it now because everybody puts them at the end, but you're still watching at the beginning. All right, Chris, what is the album that we'll be discussing today?
So for today's Headspace album, episode 130, we went with Freddie Gibbs.
We went with the adventures of Winnie the Pooh and the zebra. Go on.
Freddie Gibbs and Madlib's new album, Bandana.
Yes, that is the album we chose to do. Why did we choose to do it? Because Freddie Gibbs is pretty cool, and Madlib is pretty cool. But Chris, tell us the story of what you went on your little adventure.
So I got... About 2 weeks ago, I got hooked up from my friend with a free VIP pass to Mural Fest.
Fest. Sorry, we're going to explain it?
Yeah, for those who didn't know, Mural Fest has been around in Montreal for at least the last 6 years. It is bringing this kind of movement of modern art in different fashions. So you've got like breakdancers, you've got hip hop music, you've got actually music from all kinds on different days because it's like an 11-day event. We've got like murals and these beautiful mural paintings that are painted on like buildings, side of walls, little canvases and stuff that really kind of bring out the community in a sense. And I say that because it's not just like people who are officially hired by Mural who paint these things. These are local artists that get to come here, sign up on this like paper type deal, and they get a spot per day or whatever and draw their beautiful mural on the canvases, and people get to take photos and do all that. They've also got different sections where you can actually talk with the artist, talk with the some of the local hip hop artists. I was able to talk to some of them a little bit, but not the big artists. Like I did get to see Freddie Gibbs live, which was crazy, and I'll get into that.
That was the whole reason we started there. because Freddie Gibbs performed at this very recently.
That is the reason, and I'm sorry for dragging that on. It was a really great event, and I will bring it back different times throughout the album because there's certain things that I've noticed while doing this review and also seeing him live that really stands out. I also did get to see Made in Tokyo. He's an upcoming artist that I kind of stumbled upon on SoundCloud.
Do you guys care about Made in Tokyo?
I recently have.
The
I
Montreal audience did not apparently
the
care
front
much.
row was bumping.
So the little ones at the front cared, but the rest of the audience was like, get the fuck out of here, we want Freddie, as I understand it. Basically.
But I do want to kind of just talk about the VIP section very quickly. It was cool. I think I over-expected some things, but they basically kind of have like this parking lot. It's literally in between two buildings. It could be a legitimate parking lot that they block off and they use to build up the stage to have all the artists perform and stuff. And then they kind of cut the parking lot in half, and one side has like this wooden stage that they built with multiple floors so that that's the VIP section, and the other side is just the free walk up. You kind of just go in and participate into the crowd. I did enjoy myself. It was really, really cool.
Okay. So yes, Chris saw Freddie Gibbs live. The whole point of this is to describe our relationship with the artist, and we're gonna let you know now. We're trying out this part 1, part 2 bullshit because when we put long reviews, some part of me and my soul thinks some of you don't click on them because they're like 2 hours long. So by making that 2-hour video to 1-hour videos, well, now it's not so daunting, and that's what we're testing out a little bit. Plus, it's whatever. So, if you guys care about the 2-part theory, or you guys have a preference either way, let us know in the comments, because honestly, it's really about appeasing your interests. But now we'll just talk a little bit about how we know Freddie Gibbs as fans, because the truth is, how you perceive an album is largely regulated by your relationship with the artist, in the sense that if you've been listening for a while, or if you're a brand new fan to him, or if you're like a Made in Tokyo fan and you just saw Freddie Gibbs, I don't know, I just rolled with it. But like, it all matters, right? So like in my case, we discovered Freddie Gibbs along the way reviewing this. Whoa. I know at one point we did Freddie Gibbs and Currency's album Fetty, which I really wasn't.
Fetty Roma,
yeah. Something. Either way, I remember going into that and being like, that's what the fuck these guys are. And since then, I've learned a lot about this kind of street shit, we'll call it. And I've come to really like a lot of the dudes who have like a certain way of spitting about them. Honestly, like, there's just ones who you can tell who are smart, and the smart guys who have had success and are very honest about their stories and shit. I don't know, they're really good and fun to listen to. Nice. And I guess I was left with the impression that Freddie Gibbs is one of these guys. And as I've been into guys like, I don't know, I've been really excited doing stuff like Benny the Butcher or like 38 Spash or a few other dudes who've just been like super fun for me to go through, because I read a lot of like books, and I feel like a lot of the content that I'm reading, like I'm currently reading 33 Strategies of War. And it's like when you listen to a lot of this music and you hear how some of the things that, you know, a guy like Robert Greene will describe in a book are then just brought to life in the way that this guy's life experience and how he handles the situation or whatever. I think it's super interesting. And I don't know, the more I just kind of blur the lines of corporate America and the crack game and realize there's just good business and bad business, and there are risks in every business, some a little more dire than others, but at the end of the day, I want to get inspiration from the guys who figured shit out no matter what they do. And once I took that approach to it, I was like, yo, Freddie Gibbs is dropping with Madlib, because yo, Madlib, yeah, I do know who he is in terms of production. He's one of the better producers we've encountered on this channel in terms of like always up for, like, honestly, like, even if, and I'm not saying this is the case, Freddie could not carry the project, you know that Madlib's beats would just be great to listen to regardless of who rapped on them. That was my expectation for Madlib coming into this. Great beats. Freddie, I was expecting dope rapping. I'm gonna give you a spoiler. I was surprised by how fucking amazing Freddie is. I was not expecting it. I was humbled by like how dope his shit turned out to be. So like that's the kind of attitude I have now talking about it.
Not just that. Freddie's presentation on the album matches up to his character live performance. He's really down to earth and really understands what entertaining is. He was really engaging with the crowd and having everybody kind of like talk, like even on stage he was talking with them and trying to make jokes, and he was getting everybody with his own vibe, and it's the same type of infectious effect that he has even on the album, I find. The thing also is, I've known Freddie for like 6 years. In all fairness, the first song I learned from Freddie Gibbs was in GTA on the song Still Living Like a Drug Dealer, Finger on the Trigger. That one, when that song came on at the show, I was jumping with everyone else. Like, that's what the song that really got me into Freddie. Granted, I was a little bit younger at the time, so I didn't understand a lot of what he was saying, but I knew it was drug dealer music. I'm not gonna hide it. That's kind of what it is. There's a lot of, this type of lifestyle, this type of movement, and a lot of drug cooking. So, but I like the type of way he's explaining it. I like how he's dropping the wisdom, and that's what really got me into it. Granted, I didn't go dive right into Freddie, but I always known that he had this type of persona, and this is who he was. And then we reviewed Fedi Roma, which, going into that album, I kind of knew what I was expecting from Currency and Freddie, because I've heard Currency on Wiz Khalifa albums and their joint project back in the day as well. So I kind of knew what I was getting, and I was really impressed as well. But this album really, really, I think, was more hyped up because I got to see the live show before this album dropped. And dude, I'm impressed. Like, straight up, the man is super clear. Anyway, we'll get into that.
I mean, the title Bandana just makes me think of some gang shit. I mean, that's just what it makes me think of. Like, you think bandana, you think gang affiliation in terms of hip hop. I don't know.
I feel loyalty. I see loyalty. I see family. I see hiding
like a flag,
identity.
Just like, but all related to
yes,
gangs,
yes,
and all that comes with it. So it's like I was saying, I'm from this life, and this is what this album it lets you know, like right away, almost like this is what the album's kind of gonna be looking at. This bandana life is what I took from the title before I went into it.
I agree. I agree. I just have another type of thing where I don't want to. I'm not gonna take away that it's the gang life, but I think it's also kind of like because I do, like, you don't have to be a gang member to wear a bandana, but I feel like you are representing something from yourself when you are rocking a flag like that, or when you are trying to wear it in a certain way.
Let's say you're in a certain neighborhood that is not in Montreal and you wear a bandana of a certain color.
Absolutely. I mean, that.
So in that regard, it isn't the same thing as like here, where people do just wear bandanas for different reasons,
I agree with that. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying, like, I feel like for me, when I look at bandanas, even outside of like gang life or gang culture, I kind of just look at it as a different.
There's like a team element, because even like as a kid,
right,
you would use bandanas sometimes to identify team members for quick little games and whatnot. I don't know. I like the cover though. It's like there's a zebra, and it says Hollywood in like this ghostly blue see-through fucking sign.
They're standing behind the Hollywood sign.
And it's got like burning bullshit going on, like some bombs fell. The moon is out, and it's like a little cartoon bear thing.
You know what it kind of looks like?
Kind of
gives off this like impression that Freddie and Madlib left Hollywood. They came back, and now it's trashed. And now they gotta fix it.
That sounds like an interesting point, like setting up for or it's the aftermath of their destruction.
Yeah, they could be leaving it.
Because they were fire, and the fire of their lyrics represented and manifested into bombs that went. Anyway, I don't know.
Do you know the relation of why it's like a bear and a zebra?
I have no idea. Do you?
No, I don't. All I think it's.
I didn't look into it. I try not to watch stuff like Genius videos of Freddie breaking down songs and shit before I do the review. Because for me, I feel like once I find out what Freddie thinks the song is, I'm like, well, now I don't need to think that much. Freddie told me what he meant. I'm like, okay. I can interpret other things, certainly. So sometimes it's like a little. I tried to find it real quick, but I couldn't find it in a way that wouldn't spoil like the album for me. I don't know if that makes sense to y'all, but I like to watch the interviews and stuff after we do the review, so this is as fresh as it can fucking be from my end of it.
Beautiful.
But I like the cover. It's one of my favorite covers we've come across. I can't really describe it, but it's got this like sci-fi element to it that makes me want to like engage with it. And I like how dark it is. In a world where everything's so vibrant and colorful, it's still colorful. Don't get me wrong, it's still vibrant, but it's so dark with it. Like you're on the moon or something at the same time. It's so fucking cool. And I just want to give whoever designed that shit, you awesome.
I like how welcoming it is. Like
Yeah.
it as much as we say it's dark and all of this stuff, it's still slightly welcoming, and I think that's because it's the cartoon aspect of it. Like you want to watch this episode or this show.
It's like a Futurama or something.
Exactly.
Anyway, some Portuguese for y'all. Obrigado.
Obrigado. Now presenting my
All right, Chris. The album starts off, and I don't know, some guy's like, "What do you want?" "What, man? I need a bit, man." Ha 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 ha. And it kind of sounds like he's stoned.
So
Or
I went
washed
straight
out.
for crackhead. I'm not even
That's
gonna
it.
lie. It went
Or
straight for
like one of the
crackhead.
clients of like Freddie.
I thought of that. I took it more as this is the type of environment that we are surrounded with.
Maybe, but still, we're at the same
Of course,
place with
of course.
that. And then, it just kind of is a little comical thing. And a lot of these guys, like their first track is just a little intro skit or a sample or something. And then I feel like this next part sounds like they found a really interesting Asian voice on a voice to text or text to voice tool. Because it doesn't really sound like a person actually said it for how fucking weird and the cadence, right? It's just so constant. It sounds like, but then they just typed in some shit and they like you could just tell they were smoking a fat blunt. This is my imagination running, and they played that out and they thought it was so funny to hear the Asian voice say this shit. Obrigado, which kind of sounds like I don't know.
Well, it's thank you, and it's basically there's welcoming. It's an intro welcoming us to the
My
show
people,
of this.
Madlib and Freddie Gibbs. It's time for Bandana Beach. So turn your speakers up. Let us go beach, and then it starts. And then I'm like, I don't know if I like this or not.
I didn't.
I didn't think it. So I found it had a charm to it because it takes a certain type of person to like be bold enough, honestly, to just even do that for the intro.
Right.
On that part, I'm like, that's bold. That's bold in 2019. I like that part. However, I'd be totally fine skipping it, but I like the little kind of bassy, little stringy beat in the background that still kind of drives it through.
Had a lounge type feel to it.
It
like
totally feels like it's setting you up for the movie, like the credits are rolling in, and I thought that was cool. So I gave it a 4 because it was a functional intro, but it wasn't one of my favorite intros.
I gave it a 3.5. I thought it was comedic. I thought it was cool, but I think it's because I kind of know what I'm about to get that I was just expecting a better intro. That's my fault, but it got a 3.5.
Chris wasn't, Chris wasn't expecting a better
All right, that's
intro
some
when
freestyle
that.
shit.
Carl Weathers. Trying to beat the Rocky like Carl Weathers. Trap boy.
Not gonna lie, he has a little nice little singy thing going on.
Yep.
It's very pretty, and I bet he can do it live. Did you hear him do the singy thing live?
Yes, I even heard him do a cappella. Dude's clear.
So what I'm saying is he can do it no auto-tune, motherfuckers, and that I thought was really, really dope and really worth pointing out in terms of how everyone relies on the auto-tune. So not only is Freddie a hard-ass motherfucker, he's a hard-ass motherfucker with the voice of beauty. I'm sorry, but when he has that like singiness going on, it's got like a haunting beauty to the way he puts that pain and everything through it. Like,
Okay.
I really like his delivery. But Chris, I'm gonna talk a lot, so why don't you start us off?
I do like how he starts off with a freestyle in terms of like this cinematic type show type movie about what we're gonna get. but he kills it. Like, he just comes in and he's just super boss about it. The flow is super tight, and you could really tell that he's kind of just having fun with it. I feel starting off, he's basically kind of breaking down where he comes from, who he is, and like kind of like the prelude to whatever we're about to get, right? One of the bars that I really liked at the beginning was crack cocaine. I was my own investor. Could I do this shit independent? That was my only question. Usher Raymond 5. Usher Raymond 4, Confessions.
Did you know that Usher's 4th album is Confessions?
Yeah.
Boom. Brilliant writing. Go on.
Farrah let me come through and hit when I was alone and stressing. Yeah, because when the music shit wasn't moving, man, I said I might as well be moving. Thanks. And it really kind of just shows that type of gritty struggle that he comes from. I do like the wordplay with Usher's 4th album, Confession. I like how they're tying that in together, and I've also listened to that album back to back, like repeatedly. It's my mom's favorite album, so I've heard that growing up, and I actually kind of take it like a lot of the things that Usher's confessing on that album are really real shit, and it's really cool how Freddie tied that into his verse and giving us that depth with what he just said there. That was really cool. I like how he is kind of separating his homies from the girls, and how kind of like the women in his life have been more loyal than all of the friends, or at least a handful of them. Farrah let me come through and hit when I was alone and stressing. Granted, there may have been like a trade-off there, but this is a theme that I've seen Freddie kind of really present a lot. Like, the women in my life have actually held me down. I like that realization where he's like, if the music shit ain't working, I gotta make money somehow. I gotta do what I gotta do. And it's that type of like, you're struggling to do it right and kind of live that right life, but you also see the advantages on another side on how you can kind of move quicker. So it's really cool how he intertwines that together. I really enjoyed that. I like how he has like a backup plan that's like some boss moves there. If music don't work, at least I can sell dope and I got money coming in with a stable income, so that's cool. Moving on later on in the verse, I liked another couple lines when he goes, my weed habit so close to snorting powder. Don't holler less I got narcotics, scratching and itching, he on the dog collar, trunk full of tapes, I ain't got no dollars. That right there is just like, I can feel him and relate to that. Like, people don't really want anything from you until they need something from you. In this case, he understands that this is a business. Like, y'all ain't calling me just because you want drugs. Y'all calling me just because you want crack cocaine or whatever it is. But he understands that that is the type of, career choice or whatever he's chosen to do. I also like how he kind of follows up with, by the time people show you love, you don't even want it. By the time people show me love, I ain't even need it. By the time people show me love, I was on the TV. And it's like that realization that for his entire life, or for a good part of it, a lot of people were just kind of using him, being fake, abusing him, and doing all this shit. And then, like every other rapper we've heard and every other person, this realization of now that you're banking, rolling in money, and that you got that shit and you're like in the spotlight, people are suddenly changing and they're, yo, let's be friends and whatnot. And that really kind of stuck out to me, just in terms of relatability from how I feel like I'm kind of living my life and progressing and moving forward in a lot of things, and people are starting to kind of act different. So, I really thought the song was cool. I really liked that free energy that he was going into and bringing that off before we got into some like really serious shit. Not saying that this wasn't serious, just you could tell it was freestyled. You could tell that he kind of brought you in, he kind of eased you into what we're about to get. So that was really cool. I like how the ending, he just kind of drops in. He's like, yo, fuck it, that's all I need to do. I'm done. Closes the booth and leaves. Wrapping that up, 4.2 on 5.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really strong start. I think it really does a lot to capture both the mindset of himself, but I think that Freddie's life just is a reflection of what so many other people want, that it really comes off relatable. Like, a lot of us will definitely just go, I want it all. I mean, that's how he starts it off in the verse. You know, you have that little intro that comes in and it pumps it up, whatever, and you get, it's gonna be hyped. He's coming back, but I want it all. You know, all leather, 25th and Jackson. I'm back in action like Carl Weathers. You know, because Apollo is Carl Weathers in the Rocky series, trying to beat the Rocky like Carl Weathers. And then Trap Boy Kane, I Clubber Lang Sylvester. Clubber Lang plays Mr. T, who also comes back and fights Rocky. So he just does a whole bunch of crafty Rocky shit. And so thank you to the genius annotator who broke that down for me, because I don't really remember Rocky that well. Crack Cocaine, I was my own investor. You look at that and it's just like, okay, so he feels like an underdog in a situation where he's got to come against the world. And Crack, unfortunately, or fortunately, or however it is, this is how he's going to make his shit happen. And he's going to be independent, and he brings that in. So almost like this tape is going to be like his confessions, kind of like Usher, which I thought was a cool idea, because Usher's tape was like this, you know, big old ordeal, and he admitted to cheating and whatever else he did. I don't really listen to Usher's tape. It was 2004. I was into Green Day a lot and shit like that. Usher was far from my interest point. My mom liked disco. Farrah let me come through, whatever, Chris saw that part, and that's fine, because I really like how he just kind of segments into, he started making the music, obviously he was trying to do some shit and keep it independent, and it's not working, and then I feel like, you know, you have to pay bills, and I went through this kind of phase, so I started trying to do some shit, it wasn't working, and you realize you need money to like buy equipment or to rent people's time to engineer your shit or to acquire the beats, and how are you supposed to really pull off anything if you don't have that money in the first place? So in his case, he chose to sell dope. In my case, I went to work. They're different grinds in their own sense, but
Still a 9 to 5.
But it's also just a matter of also understanding that if you want to get ahead in this area, well, sometimes maybe you have to almost take a step back and go do what you need to do to make sure you can move ahead in that area, you know?
Right.
He was living reckless on some social media shit, which is honest, like saying this is what I was doing with my life. And it's almost like he's walking us through the situation to where he gets to that point. I love that line, my weed habit so close to snorting powder, which is a reference to Slick the Soccer's track If I Don't Gotta, featuring Master P and Friends, which, you know, the same line pops up. But it's such an interesting line because it's like, you know, on the one hand, it's like the stress maybe is so much you want to just upgrade to something stronger, or maybe because I don't know, you upgrade from selling dope to selling powder, I don't know, but it's an interesting line in general. And then follows it up with how people are going to show up when they want something from you, and you know they're just dope fiends. You can take that away from just drugs, man. It's more of an opportunity thing, or like a whole lifestyle thing. So if you happen to be living that real in whatever domain you're in, it's gonna be relatable to this type of shit. If you have something people want, then all of a sudden you're cool. And I really love those three lines where he's like, by the time people show you love, you don't even want it at that point, because he's got a point to it. When you're young at this and your self-esteem maybe isn't in place proper, all you want is for people to give you some love and really like push it and give you that, like anything, you know, share my shit or whatever, and they don't. Like, they really, if you're lucky, they will, and everybody will give it a quick little listen, curiosity, whatever. But nobody's really giving the love after time. You're not getting it no more. So you have to go out and pave your own lane and figure it out. And like, as an example, when we started doing this channel, I used to try to get, like, you know, the people I know in my life to like care, and they didn't. They didn't care until, oh, we got an interview with Karina. Oh, now I give a fuck. Oh, this happened. Oh, that happened. Oh, you got patrons? Okay. Now all of a sudden people gave a fuck. Now I don't need those people to care. Don't
like once you got something.
It's honestly
once you got
like
something credible.
I know there are people who watch my shit that I work with, and those ones are real motherfuckers and they're dope and shit. But like, to the other people with anything I create, it's like, don't listen to it. You just don't, man. There's so many other people who could be interested, that when you coming to me only after I've kind of like, especially the people you know, right? If you're only paying attention to me after I've shown promise and potential, and I really related to that part too, because it's so universal, whatever you're trying to do in your life.
And I think I think there's a global, I mean, you probably just said this, but I feel like there's a global aspect to it where everything is kind of like that. Like, I'm kind of going through that at work. Like, there's certain expectations that I have to meet, but I feel like I don't know if I'm meeting them or not, because I'm not really being...
That's a very different thing than... you actually, because this is more in the context of you are doing what you know what you're doing and people don't care and they're fake about you and shit. But now that you're famous, right? Now that you're on the TV, everybody's your best friend versus maybe you have shit management not communicating your expectations properly, which is a whole other thing that I literally have read several books on recently. And so that's a different issue, but that is a bad issue. However, I do agree in the universality of this verse, and I like how he then points it out. The music started moving, but I also still have this whole other thing going on, and you know, I got the shooters and whatnot, and I don't know that he's still actively pursuing this. Usually you're rapping in character more than factually at this point because you have moved out of it. But I like the fact that he's pointing out that his life is still like there. He's not a guy who went Hollywood, we'll say, as you know, funny. And I think that this is a great introduction to this album because it gives you a lot about who he is. And I think that's my favorite part of Freddie Gibbs is on this project at least. It's
Authentic?
yeah, but not even so much authentic. It's like sometimes you hear a rapper rap a whole bunch of songs. Like the Migos is a really good example. I couldn't tell you a fucking thing about Quavo as a person. I don't know what he believes in, but like you know,
He's a basketball player.
Sure, but like, but I don't know what he believes in. I don't know what he cares about. Like, oh, I got the bag.
I think it's the difference between actually. I'm not saying that Migos ain't true to themselves, but I think it's the difference between keeping up that persona of who you are and then that. Like,
but it's either you have the
authenticity.
courage to tell people who you are, or you don't. So if you're just acting and everything about your music is just some superficial shit, that's not interesting to me. Whereas what Freddie's doing here is more introducing us to who he is, the guy, the man that is Freddie Gibbs.
Right.
You know, so I think that's super dope. I get this a 4.5. Madlib's beat is ridiculous. It's all good. It's a really good track. It got me really fucking excited for the rest of this project. And the truth is, well, it's not true that I'm a half man, half cocaine. It's not true. I've never done cocaine.
Chicken dinner at the sports center when I'm with a bird.
Fun fact, according to Freddie, while he was in jail over some situation that he was acquitted on, he conceived a lot of this album in his head because he couldn't write it all down and stuff. So a lot of this is just Freddie in a jail cell putting together bars in his head. I don't know if it was this song, all the songs. He says it was like the whole album. He said it. I don't know how true or whatnot. I'm just saying that I thought it was a cool thing that y'all should know that Freddie didn't even write it really. He just was like, if you're sitting in there in prison almost memorizing an album, and then it took 4 or 5 sessions, bang, 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 and they got the project done. That's cool. How do you feel about this one?
This one was interesting to me. I thought it was really cool. I want to take a moment to talk about the beat and how like the first part of the beat is really interesting in terms of like this kind of like generic sounding song,
Type.
but not super generic. Like it has this darker tone to it that's really there. Like you can really feel the presence. It's got this, I feel this mocking tone a little bit, and I'm gonna get into that. And I also kind of feel like there's this nice transition when he switches into the part 2 of how the beat kind of acts with Freddie. So for part 1, it's half man. I think it's Maine because it's Manne, so I think it's Maine, but whatever. Like Gucci Mane type shit.
Okay,
Anyway.
Chris.
Part 1, I felt like it was just one of your typical, I'm kind of out here flexing, I'm the dude, I'm boss, and I just got what I need. Verse 1, Freddie, at one point he goes like, ho, I know you was off, you could take a lick, you could take a lick, set him up with my bitch, we can fake a lick, I just broke up a brick on the east side with the click, who you banging with, you know that me and Diego be taking shit. Or I think it's talking shit, technically. So it kind of just felt like it followed suit.
I think it was taking shit.
Oh, like taking shit. Like, I'm grabbing this. This is mine now.
Yeah.
Whoa, I can't believe I missed that.
Because they're boss-ass motherfuckers.
Fair enough.
I don't say that sarcastically, folk. I know how I sound. Go on.
So I like it. Just, right now, it kind of just feels like, this is dope. It fits with what we just got from the freestyle. This is what I've heard on other projects. Where is this? Like, where do we kind of change a little bit? And then the second verse, I kind of feel like it just is consistent in terms of like, I'm bossing, I'm making moves, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And it's kind of what everybody wants to hear. My interest in this was the third verse, how when we get to part 2 and it's about cocaine, it feels like this is a legitimate drug song. The way that Freddie presents the third verse is like the rawness of what drug dealing is, the grittiness and the struggle. Yeah, half man, half cocaine. I just mix the Tylenol with heroin. Junkies shoot some detergent in their fucking veins. Cradle to the grave. Crime pays. Fuck with Mr. K. Put your face on one of them. Picture change. Sugar Ray, the fade or go John Wick with the pistol game. Like, that was dope. All of those references are dope, but that grittiness, that rawness, that like, I'm sitting there listening to this, really picturing these junkies shooting detergent in their veins. I'm really kind of being taken out of my little apartment, and I'm brought into this world where it's really just that trash. And whoa. And I felt like he was kind of mocking a lot of the fake rappers, I'm gonna say, who act a certain way and who present themselves to be a certain way, but they're not really that. And I think that's what he did with this song. I think the first part was just that, I'm just the man and I'm putting on this facade, and then the half cocaine part was the real grittiness of like, nah, this is the real shit. I'm gonna show you what being in the drug life is kind of like. Overall, I thought this song was really powerful. I thought it was super cool. The beat is stellar in a way, and the way it transitions and the way it just stops and he goes shut the fuck up before the third verse and completely changes, and the tempo and everything. Madlib is killing it. I gave it a 4.6.
I don't really know that Freddie Gibbs needs to taunt people. I think he just fucking say it blunt and clear. I look at it more like there's two facets to his personality. Right? So you have the half main part, right? Where it's like he's listening. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think he's listening to the other people in the chorus, and he's like, I don't really care. Oh, right. You're doing it? Oh, I don't care. Like, bridges burn, tables turn, fuck, they never learn. Not about an almighty dollar, it ain't my concern. Heard you getting pussy too, outside of me, ain't my concern. I just want head in a 458, that's what I deserve. And so, a big point of there is he's minding his own business in a sense. He's not jealous of what's going on in your world and your shit. He's focused on him and what he deserves and what he needs to go out there and get. And I think that's pretty cool. I think, again, that's in line with a lot of the more strategic thinking books, right, and all of that kind of stuff. Then he's describing just kind of his dream life and almost the rewards of it all. Like, yo, we have some shit. We serious. We will take your girl if we want her. I want two, ladies at the house. I want all this life going on. He wants to get some blowjobs in the car. I mean, who doesn't want blowjobs while driving? I'm just throwing it out there. Everybody wants that. That's some universal shit. Second verse, same kind of thing, it flows in. So it kind of like shows, I want all of this good stuff. I'm this powerful, flossy, almost like this is the side that the lady sees. But then there's the other side of it. How he gets there to have cocaine. And that's just more about how he sells that shit and how he makes it happen. But the way this song's almost put in, it feels like you do a bump halfway through and you're like, ready to fucking go. So I don't know if he does coke, but that's definitely what that fucking comes off like. It's just shit like...
Damn, that was accurate.
I make 15 jump like a trampoline when the package shit. Now, want the methamphetamines. Quick to sucking dick. Suck a dick for the dope. I was rushing shit. Fuck the needle. She was supposed to snuffle up, I guess. And I feel like he's pointing out that, like, yo, even though you're hard or whatever, and I feel like he's almost implying this is dudes as much as it's ladies. It's like people is literally willing to suck your fucking dick in terms of getting the drugs out of you in that situation. He's kind of gone through the situation. Black brains up in buckets, bitch. Michael Douglas, bitch. Half man, half cocaine. 60 pounds of Walter White, the White Plains. And then flows it through. Kiss your wife, you were solid, and go piss on your grave. And he's painting out this drug dealer situation where he's super hard and he's got like the almost tenacity and willingness to do almost anything. 1 foot in the booth, 1 in the fucking cage. If I wrote my raps, he'd be a slave to my fucking page, Freddie Kane. And so you get the sense that he's coming up with all this in his head. He's not actually writing it out. But if he did, it's so powerful it'll enslave you, because he's fucking fresh and he's fucking dope. And I thought this was an incredible track that you could easily turn up to. It's just powerful. It's grind music. It's that shit I want to listen to when I want somebody to like be like, yo, you can achieve by being fucking proper. You know what? I want the shit that I deserve too, Freddie. So thank you for that. 4.75 on 5. This shit's a fucking banger. That's all I'm trying to say. I don't remember if you gave a grade.
Give it a 4.6.
It's not as good as a 4.75. All right. You want to talk about some zebras? Because, yo, crime pays, motherfucker.
Yeah.
If you would like to purchase a zebra in the United States, you can move to West Virginia or Wisconsin. These states have few restrictions on exotic pet ownership, and you don't need permission from the local governments to start a zebra farm.
All right, I'm going to ask a stupid question. What's the relevancy?
Did you not watch the music video
No.
where he's got a zebra farm? He's got
I
a bunch of
watched
zebras
a video
on
previous
it,
to this review.
and then like it pauses like in the middle of the video, and he's like just like chilling on this farm, like, yo, you know why you're on shit duty, dude? He's like, what? Because you fucking useless, whatever. And then he sees some guy with a wheelbarrow. He's like, yo, what are you doing that wheelbarrow over there? Oh, it doesn't even have anything in it. You know what? You're on shit duty now. Switch it all up. And you, give me that fucking rope. You just see him like walking around, barking these orders at these, they're all white dudes. They're all these white guys on a farm. I like what he did there. And there's a lot of zebras, and then he wants to make make a horse have sex with another horse. And it's all in the middle. Meanwhile, then it would kick him at the second verse or whatever. He's got the girl who with the bikini that is basically covering most of it. Like, it's not all of it, but like, it's one of the more revealing bikini types.
Yeah.
All the under boob is visible, so you know she has some nice fake hooters. He's sitting there rapping. There's zebra. He rides a zebra. I wanted to know if I could ride a zebra, and that's the video. So yeah, it was relevant. You should have watched the music video and seen the zebras.
So when I was asked to do from a buddy of mine to review a track off this album.
It was this song.
No, it wasn't. It was the Anderson .Paak track.
Okay.
It was Giannis. And when I did that favor, I went to go watch a music video, and it was that picture of Freddie with the zebra, but it was a picture, so I didn't bother actually clicking the music video because
you missed out on Crime Pays.
made an ass out of myself and
Crime
assumed it would
Pays
be
is
a
a real
photo.
good song.
So let's talk about it. How do you feel?
I feel like it's got this smooth thing, and he comes in and he said crime pays. And if you think about his life, or in a lot, it depends on your circumstance, right? Like almost regardless of your circumstance, to a degree or another, you might be in situations in your life where you might be asked to commit these little petty crimes to gain favors with people. Oh, maybe you change a little date over here on an email, or maybe you do a little this, maybe you lie to be a reference for somebody. Technically, all that shit's illegal. So crime helps people. In-person fraud, all of these things. Like, if you think about it, anytime that your mom pretended to be a reference for your first job, it's not real, like you might have stretched it, like, oh, I was babysitting for her, but you guys are kind of pushing it. I'm using really, really silly examples to just show that everybody kind of knows that to some degree or another, crime has this a payoff that is often tangible, even if there is some kind of victim or cost that might come from the situation.
I like the concept of, because I took out the word crime and I replaced it with risk. And I feel like when you're doing a crime, you're basically taking the biggest risk of your life, because if you get caught, all the consequences. So I kind of look at this like, yeah, he's saying crime pays. Yeah, crime pays. But I think he's also kind of interpolating, like, taking a risk to get to where you need to be also kind of pays off as well.
I mean,
like, even as simple as something with, oh, I got my mom to lie and stuff, that's still like, you're taking that risk.
That's not even a risk.
Granted, it's super minimal, but it's still
It's not a risk. What risk? Risk is like, you're right, crime is a risk, but risk pays is maybe true. I don't know if that's a universal thing.
I'm not.
Like gambling is a risk, as an example. Is like
I mean, yeah, but it pays.
Does it?
I mean, it does.
But
Like if you get lucky,
statistically
like if you don't
speaking,
get caught, you get paid.
I mean, gambling in terms of going to the casinos is risky, and statistically doesn't pay. What I'm trying to say is, I think the point is more living this darker side of life and being willing to commit the crimes that he is willing to commit. Having that tenacity to do what needs to be done is kind of what pays. If I were to like swap it in, you know, because yeah, like there's a degree of risk. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not a criminal, so I don't really fucking know what it's like to sell crack. I've never done it. I've never sold cocaine. But what I can imagine is that, you know, he literally committed these crimes in an environment where the legal options would not have paid, right? And then because of that, he now has means of getting paid, all because fundamentally he committed crime. But what's really crazy about this first verse, right? You know, made it through my whole month with the lights out. I seen brighter days. Fucking brilliant, you know? Like, I'm paying my bills. And I think that's what's super important, is that he's highlighting the fact that even though I committed these crimes, I was able to pay my bills and do some shit. Watch this shit get knee high, boy. You live and you die by this game. That's some real shit. There's consequences to it. But then you're not expecting where he's going to go with this, in my opinion. Homeboy just got HIV. He lived and died by his hoe. So he took the concept of living and dying by the game, which is an almost standard thing, and showed by risky sex in that regard lets you take the same concept. Well, you basically at that point living and dying by the hoe in a literal sense. Well, HIV is not really a death sentence anymore, but it used to be, and so I get the point of what he's trying to make here. Have we ever hit the same bitch before? Ain't nobody knows. Have we ever hit the same bitch before? Wasn't nobody business. Be fucking these hoes and say fuck insurance and the doctor visits. And that's crazy to me, because I've been saying how many times on this channel that people are not wearing condoms. People my age and shit, like Freddie's a little bit older, but we don't use rubbers. We just fuck randomly. We just jizz wherever. Sometimes it's in her by mistake. I'm not saying myself. I'm saying that this is the statistics of this shit. And people don't go get the doctor checkups. We're all negligent with our health like that. And then you don't really know that when you find out that that girl gave this guy HIV, that you guys haven't shared that girl before. Or been in that situation where now a whole squad basically gets HIV because nobody really thought about wearing rubbers in that moment. I'm like really passionate on this subject because at least in the United States, sex education's not really a real thing. And so a lot of people are not given the knowledge required to understand that they need to be using these rubbers. Anyway, it's got that beautiful little bridge that plays through, and it samples Free Spirits by Walt Barr, and it's nice. And he just kind of reiterates while it's playing, people be selling dope and they say fuck insurance and doctor visits. So it's almost like you're committing in your heart and soul that death is coming, and so you're living as though it's gonna come. Then you get that second verse where, you know, I feel like it's more like he kind of is celebrating a little more. The first part's very similar, and then, bitch, don't touch my body, because I put your body off all in a body sling. You ain't gonna hurt nobody. Go body for body. We the body gang. And it's kind of flossier, and he further describes some shit. There wasn't a whole lot more in that part that I thought was super substantial that like I could add to what I've been saying so far. He's very descriptive, and his storytelling, like Chris said earlier, really brings you into believing that this is some shit that's actually gone down. And then he proceeds to take shots at Mr. Jeezy, saying whoever the fuck Rocket is bought Jeezy a new pair of shoes, and that Jeezy is dick sucking. And then the song kind of just fades out to ending, and that was a very, very good song that I really enjoyed listening to. My exact notes were, whoa, this is incredible, and I gave it a 5 on 5. I thought this was absolutely stellar, and one of those times where the single really is a single standout track on this project.
Nice. I feel the same way. I feel that this song does bring this type of energy and this lifestyle to life and really animates it. I like how he addresses that people only kind of chill with you when you have certain things. The hoe that you brought out to Cali boy, she only fucking with you because you fucking with Kane, though. She was boosting her credit with people like you that just ain't got enough on their name. Like, the idea of, you know, he's got his loyalty and there's other people out here who are kind of acting shady. It's like he's dropping wisdom. And as much as he's, you know, out here kind of advocating that crime pays, he's also giving you, like, yeah, I'm saying this, but also understand that this is the world that we come from. These are the type of, I guess, women we chill with, or the type of dudes I guess we're around because this is the life we live. And the back and forth of, like, his explanation of, like, just where he comes from and how he experiences life is really, really cool, because it's not contradicting in any way. It's more like, this is what works. This is how you have to do it. If you can't do A, you ain't getting B. And I really like that type of solidification that he's bringing. I also like the last part in the ending where he goes, his homie done borrowed a car and he got it shut up. Now I know that his bitch mad. He steadily called up my phone and you huffing and puffing cause they at your bitch ducking. And then the Jeezy line. But it's like, it's this. I like how he's bringing in this idea of this person tried to be kind of like Freddie, I guess, or try to outlive this life, but he's using his girlfriend's car. He's not even using his own independent shit, which also brings to light how real Freddie is. Like, a lot of the experiences that Freddie is gonna talk about is like, well, this is what this did, but this is what I did, and it worked.
Well, I feel like where it actually shows how real he is a little bit more that that's something to pay attention to. Like, is the guy borrowing his girlfriend's car and trying to be a gangster? That, to be able to call that out,
right,
comes from a point of, I don't do that type of shit. Mm-hmm. So I do like your point there.
So I did enjoy that realness from here. Although I didn't really feel that this was, like, as bumping as, like, the last track, though, just in terms of, like, just, like, the energy levels. This had more of a smoother feel to it. It was hype. I'm not even saying it's not. Madlib is crazy. But I felt like it had just a smoother.
What did you give it?
Well, you're all upset.
Madlib was ridiculous.
4.3.
Madlib was a magician on this shit. Madlib was amazing on every song. Palmolive sorry, I was a little getting ahead of myself because I need to be sitting in some massage seats.
I hit Maurice with the money grab. He was major league, I'm pitching softball, underhand.
So the massage sheets he is describing may just be in fancy cars. I didn't even know you can get cars that can massage you while you drive them. Those are new things for me to dream about in life. Thank you, Freddie Gibbs, for enlightening this poor guy.
They're fun cars.
Truth is, I'm copping a mini Tesla. That's what I'm calling the cheap Tesla. As soon as the financing's available in Canada and I have enough money to buy one, I want a Tesla.
I've been in a Cadillac with a massaging chair. That's fun.
This track is cool. I feel like instantly, though, we're going to a more laid back, kind of vapid feel. And, like, because I want to give him a lot of credit on this. I think what Freddie's doing here is he's trying to establish that I'm going to drop a classic run. Now, one of the requirements, in my opinion, for a classic, as we do have a show called The Classic Quest with over 100 albums reviewed on, is the versatility to make sure that as you go through your project, the sounds change. So Madlib is a versatile fucking producer who can clearly do anything. But Freddie Gibbs is coming in. He has a whole different vibe and a flow and a whole situation on this. And you know what's fucking crazy about this song? Because I believe the whole universe is connected and shit. And sometimes these little things kind of coincide, and it might sound a little far-fetched, but we start this one off, and he's like, whatever, bitch asked me what's up, I said, pimp a bitch, whatever, I don't care there. Golden State, the roster, my garage deep, alright, he got lots of cars, that's cool, I appreciate that shit, you do you. Floating in the foreign on massage sheets, like we just said, that sounds fun. Yeah, keep designer on broad feet, I'm like, okay, that's fine. I've been water whipping Earl Simmons. All my dogs eat. Do you know what? You know what's crazy?
Hey!
We're reviewing TMX tomorrow. Like, we're recording that review. It's going to come out next week. But TMX is our next classic album. Are you fucking kidding me? He gets cited on this album? That's crazy. That's just a sign that DMX is the shit. DMX is one of my favorites, so I was really happy for that.
Oh, I highlighted the same verse.
And then, but it flows on through, and I'm like, it's very flexy. Yeah, fuck it, get your money on. Still taking calls on this money phone every Sunday morning. I hit Maurice with the MoneyGram. I don't know what the fuck a MoneyGram is, but I assume that it's like an Instagram for money. I don't know if it's actually a thing.
Or it could be like
I'm gonna Google that
the
shit
gram
live.
of drug that he's
I
gonna flip into money, and he's just making a funny
No,
word called
MoneyGram is a money transfer company. It's a real thing. Holy
Only here on
fuck.
Headspace, folks, we find out what things are.
I'm pretty sure other people do that too, Chris. That's just living life. But the MoneyGram, that makes a lot of sense. So he's collecting payments via the legal means in the online world. I digressed. It was very fun. And then there's a little interlude thing, and he's talking about how he was hitting the finest ladies ever back in the day, like implying some rock star level platinum ladies, like, you know, smashing some women you've heard of. Kane season, he's real dope like that. And then he calls Keisha to get the MoneyGram, and he's gonna fly into Shy and make the pussy do the money dance, which kind of sounds like he's gonna fuck her, but also sounds like he's pimping her. And then he just, I don't know, flows on through, and then there's an outro, and I'm like, this was cool. He says Earl Simmons again. That was cool.
I actually like the second Earl Simmons bar because it sounds. I like both of them because I like how he's.
Like, I just feel like I
Because
was hit with so much profoundness in the last few songs that I'll give it to you.
I fucked up.
Because there was so much profoundness in the last songs, I kind of needed this little refresher, like palate cleanser between meals type track here to keep the vibe going.
Question: does he do two Earl Simmons lines, or
He
is there an
does.
Eric Sermon line? Because I understood that there was an Eric
I
Sermon
saw
line.
Earl Simmons, and then I heard Earl Simmons because he then says all my dogs eat, which
But
is
later on, I think in the second verse, because maybe I dreamed it, but
so it's
still,
Earl
so
Simmons.
cool.
I mean, I could be wrong. I am relying a little bit on Genius because this album's been out for like 2 days. I'm pretty sure he says Earl Simmons both times. He also says Lonzo. I don't see Eric Sermon written anywhere, but it could be whatever. Because he goes, whip it, Earl Simmons, all my dogs eat, twice. And, I mean, I don't know why else.
Oh, it is Earl Simmons. I thought
That's
he was
cool.
I thought he was cool and like whipping Eric Sermon, and it's like we reviewed him and he's a dope lyricist
Yeah,
and he's
but
connected.
we've also reviewed Earl Simmons. We're reviewing Earl Simmons tomorrow. Bonnie and I.
reviewed
Bonnie and
Earl
I are going to be.
Simmons.
That means there's a girl there on the review when it comes out. If you prefer to watch a lady instead of Chris,
Your lady friend is there.
she's lovely. I gave this track a 4.35. I'll be honest with you. It's a great song as far as still being clever and rapped well and showcasing his versatility. But like to me, it's subject matter wise a little more vapid, but it's fun. Like it serves its role. I think I've described my interests are a little less there, but I think that if we're gonna call this, let's say, my least favorite song so far, it's still fucking next level. Like, it's really good, and I feel like it really works, and it's better than a lot of the more vapid, airy, I'm fucking cool songs that other people would put, and still has that realness in it. So I don't want you to think that I'm trying to take away from Freddie's swagger.
It landed at a 4 on 5. This song itself for me was hype and it was cool. I really only liked that one line just because I thought it said Eric Sermon, but it still works.
it's
and
Earl
it's
Simmons.
still a dope line.
Earl Simmons, cool.
But I just felt like this was more of a kind of fluffy flexing type track. Yeah, I gave it a 4 on 5. I don't actually have much to say. It's hype. It's really cool, but it's a lot of I'm fucking this woman. This is my luxury car, and I have massage sheets, which I enjoy. And in bumping in the background, I was like, oh, you know, this is hype, and it's
Listen,
cool.
if you were getting fellatio, it's a good song. No? I think about you're in the car getting some head on a vibrating massage sheet.
Yeah, but he's the one getting it, not me.
Yeah, but if you
So
were,
I'm hearing him get it.
and you were playing this track, it's a good soundtrack for that
I
moment.
have another song I'd play, but okay.
Anyway, you ignored my DMX attempts, even though they're probably going to think I'm silly. So, why don't we discuss Palmolive?
Brody flooded, Maxine Waters. Fuck your poison, keep the vaccines off us. We got a reality.
I was excited to see that Killer Mike and Pusha T were showing up to hang out with our good friend Freddie Gibbs here. What did you think of this track, Christopher?
I thought it was super cool. I was also really interested because Pusha T and Killer Mike was there, so I was slightly biased. I like both those artists. But I thought it was super, super dope. Now, I like how, for me, Freddie is really consistent right now, and he's keeping up that energy that he keeps bringing. But what I really took from him was when he said, fuck the 40 acres and the mule, they gave us the eagle. And for me, I kind of looked at that as like, you know, I was watching an interview and he mentioned something about like getting reparations for like all the years of slavery and all that. And what I kind of took away from that line was like, instead of giving them reparations, they gave them guns, desert eagles, and like ways to, I guess, kill each other or like whatever. And that was something that really was deep.
And then another way to look at it is they gave them America, because the eagle represents America.
Absolutely.
And so they were supposed to get 40 acres and a mule, and then some people got some land, and then the next president comes in and said, fuck that, and give it all back to the old people. And then, yeah, basically they got spread eagle fucked.
But what I really took away from Freddie's verse was that there is this sense of determination to kind of make it out from where he is. Now, I think this song is kind of like going back in time to where he had to go through and kind of like certain things that he had to deal with. Also kind of giving us this like, I guess this lavish life, like back in the day, dropping this blow on the basement floor, my Yeezys squeaking. Like it's like he's kind of showing you like I had things growing up or going through the struggle, but I've also done things to get what I got. So that was something super, super cool. He also mentions, like, you know, he used to sell crack to a police officer. So that was like, whoa, you coming from an environment that's like super some edgy shit. But I was more actually interested in the Killer
Edgy
Mike.
shit.
Well, I mean, I don't come from a spot where cops are taking drugs.
Well, I feel like I took it more like I don't know if I was wrong. I don't know what the exact lyric is, but it almost sounded like he sold it to like
crack to police
to like an undercover, you know. Like I thought he was like selling it to an undercover and getting clipped, but I guess it could be the other way too.
Well, either way, I do really like the chorus from Killer Mike and the second verse from Pusha T. Killer Mike really had really impressed me the way he presented it, and he's kind of like very talking to you in a way, kind of giving you this information. Basically what he's saying in the chorus is to basically do what you got to do for money. Every time you got that chance or an opportunity to make money, don't lose it, go for it, and see how far you can push yourself to get that chance. And that was really inspiring in a sense. And it feels like he's talking down to like the younger generation.
That is half the message, right? That is only half the message of his chorus, because the other more important part is once you've made that money, you know that the 5-0 / system is coming to take that shit from you. So when you've got that wealth, live like you broke. Like, there is a reason that for the most part I don't rock nice clothes and I don't have any bling. It's because I don't want you to know how much money I have. I might have money, I might not, I don't, but I might, but you don't know. So, I mean, I would rather be like, because like DMX has that great lyric that inspired me as a kid. How much that watch cost? Oh, you know, sorry. He talks about robbing a watch when somebody's flashing it, like, you know, like whatever. I'm going to talk about it tomorrow. Still, the idea that like by flashing your wealth, you're almost like inciting people to come take it from you. So if you want to keep your money, you got to stay low, like no money. Like, still act broke, even if you got real cash, and then nobody will suspect you of shit.
I think that also changes like the character who you are as well. Like, if you're very flashy or like arrogant with your money or something like that, that type.
But
of
like, we're talking about drug dealers and shits, right? So the fact that like, also let's just talk about in the first verse, Vladimir Banana Clip movie with Russian collusion shooters. That's a fucking sick line about fucking fake people. But Vladimir Banana Clip movie with Russian collusion shooters, because it's making a little bit political as to what's actually going on in the world today, but also Vladimir and the Russian connects. Anyway, it's fucking dope. Fuck a track host, selling that pussy on computers, pimping will never die, Chap Butler in heaven, chucking deuces, trunk a deuce hard by a fish, then I made a wish. I don't know, I just thought it was fresh, kind of looking at the modern way of how pimping is looking around. Like, it's not maybe the old way, but if you look at how Instagram models pimp themselves out on the situation, it's a whole different game now, so it doesn't really die. And maybe Pimp C is into that in heaven. I thought it was really cool. And then, yeah, Killer Mike's part really flowed in well, because it's like you have Freddie laying out this really long and detailed and interesting, almost like part of the charm of what Freddie does there is some of the stuff that I find is the charm of Pusha T, where it's just these little vignettes of stuff like, in 1998, I sold a Glock chopper. In 2018, I'm finna reclaim my fucking time and cop the Rolly Fletty. So it's like, back then I did that. All this time later, this is what's happened after 20 years has gone by, you know? I'm finally made it, kind of thing, which is crazy because it took 20 years to finally make it. And he grinded and he did it, you know? All right, Chris, how do you feel about Pusha T? I know you were eagerly waiting to go.
I like Pusha's verse. I felt like it was more of where he kind of comes from in that like upbringing a little bit. I like how he starts off. Look, real bars are the ill bars. These scars are the only real proof they couldn't kill gods. My coke hands is still sketching out my memories. What I did to door panels on them wind stars, gem stars, left cuts in the dinner plates. Ooh, that was fire.
See, like it's lines like the gem stars, which is an X-Acto knife, if I'm not mistaken. And when you're cutting up your shit, literally, the X-Acto knife will leave these little cuts in the dinner plate. And I feel like Pusha T's ability to kind of just paint, like my coke can is still sketching up my memoirs, what I did to door panels on the wind star. So he's almost showing it. His lyrics are. Yeah, I know, but then the following line is the gem stars. Yep. But he had, you know, how he used to fuck up the car doors to hide the drugs, and how he used to like these little details where like unless you really lived it, you wouldn't know. But again, it's never super obvious. It's just these like the specific thing. Like when was the last time you heard of any rapper describe the scratches on the fucking plate? You know, like just the details to paint that picture.
Right. I liked also when Pusha T kind of, I feel like he kind of went after fake rappers at one point. Like he's kind of just like making that division of I'm real, you're not type sense. But I did like when he went way more chemical than political. PTSD from what I weighed on the digital. It was snowfall and Reagan gave me the visual. Obama opened his doors knowing I was a criminal. That was super cool. So for me, right, way more chemical than political. So what I feel that is like the chemical reaction in your brain to a lot of like the social medias, a lot of the drugs that we're taking, or drugs that are in the world and all this stuff and blah blah blah. We're more driven to a chemical reaction of dopamine and happiness and all this stuff than more of like a political sense on how to actually get our society to a better place, or the world, or together in like the humanity and all that stuff. So that's how I kind of took that line.
His music's way more chemical than political.
Well, fine if you want to do that. PTSD from what I weighed on the digital. Now, of course, that's also literally like he's weighing drugs, but I kind of also feel like the digital, the internet, the social medias, again, like that was a really cool double entendre. And then it was snowfall and Reagan gave me the visual. Now, I need you to help me because you probably know more about that.
Reagan brought crack in the hood. Let's go on.
I didn't want to fuck that up. But that was that.
But that's almost trying to. Okay, and then to tie it into the next line, it's crazy how he sold all these drugs and he was a very big criminal. He wasn't politically minded. Yeah. Reagan, let's say, set up the situation so one president vilified his people and made it all bad. And then it's crazy, knowing he's a drug dealer, knowing he's a criminal, Obama invited him, along with guys like Rick Ross, into the White House. And that's amazing from a symbolic point of view. But
I think I think the reason is that I feel like there's a difference from, because I can sit here and say Pusha T is doing something for like to make a change, right?
But like still,
like I don't think Obama's gonna let the local crack dealer come into your house.
If the local crack dealer was a rapper, look, what the point is more that these rappers who are not political, like to invite Killer Mike, let's say, makes sense. He's whatever. But to invite Pusha T, on the other hand, it's kind of like his entire career is like based on selling crack. Like it's not like there's social consciousness there. Rick Ross, again, the same type of shit.
Right.
So the significance of an American president bringing these guys because of their, contributions to life, in spite of the fact that they're almost known critical, it just goes to show, like, look, things are different now, in a sense.
And that's what I really enjoyed from the verse. I think my issue is that Freddie has a lot of references that I may not catch on to, so my brain kind of shuts down a little bit. You
gotta Google Freddie shit. That's how you keep up, man.
Absolutely. And I think I kind of just, it just was a little bit easier to understand a lot of the references from Pusha T on my end. But I did give this song a 4.5. I really thought it was super cool.
I don't even know how we're skipping over that hilarious fucking outro where it's like a little, I don't know who it is, but he's telling a little comedy skit where a buddy like came in and shot his wife with the next man's fucking, and while he's up in jail waiting his electrocution, whatever. Anyway, while he's in jail, awaiting the electric chair, the next dude shows up and he's like, "Hey man, so yeah, sorry, but it's like it could have been worse." He's like, "How the fuck could it have been worse?" "I'm just telling you, man. I know you're gonna die and shit, but it could have been worse." He goes, "How could it have been worse? If you showed up a day earlier, you would have got me too." Anyway, that's why I gave it a 4.75 because it's really good. It's like really good to me. I fucking love it. Even the little skit thing. Every time I heard it, I thought it was funny, and that rarely happens. So I'm with you, Freddie.
But you know what? Now that I hear it again, it actually really ties into like the whole world that they come from in terms of everybody kind of acting shady and being fake.
So tell you one thing. I go by Holden Stephan Roy. That's a real name. He goes by Chris Chrome. That's a fake names.
Yellow boy on the evening news. Devil on my shoulder say fuck friends cause cash rules.
So I think one of the best lines on this song before Chris talks to us is whenever I see dead faces, they occupy my brain. And just the double entendre of dead faces. Every time I sleep, dead faces, they occupy my brain. So on the one hand, it's like the people he's killed, you know, shit's so real, gotta use fake names. That line too, like you just right off the jump, like if you can't use your real name, your world's already a little scrupulous and maybe on the negative side. So everybody's going by these street names to keep their government name almost hidden. And then dead faces also doubles over as money. So when he's sleeping, it's like all he's dreaming about is the people he's killed and the money he wants to make. You know, that's what occupies his brain. Erica said, "I never changed. Lifestyles that he insane." I dated a girl named Erica. I'm with you. See, Freddie, we got shit in common. Lifestyles that he insane. And then it just kind of lets you know a little bit of the context in the world he was coming from. It was such a strong start to me. It's the kind of stuff where like you can tell that he put a lot of thought into making sure that it was interesting. Like when you listen to it for the fourth time, you're like, there's still shit you're almost catching with it. Anyway, how do you feel about this one?
So this one, I think this one hit me in the feels in terms of like lyrically, but I didn't really feel it as much in terms of just like overall the vibe. It felt a little bit slower to me. Moving on from that to the good parts, Freddie says something in the first verse as he starts off, and this is what really caught my eye. "You was like a brother to me. No other to me. Swear I would trade my life for yours. I knew you was fucking with me. Found out some people fucked your wife, and we put them bitches to sleep. Ain't going to say your government. I'ma call him by Ricky G. Now Ricky G had a cousin named Yellow with the bricks of Yola."
We have a guy in Montreal who does rap promotion named Ricky D. And the first time I heard it, I heard Ricky D. And I was like, is he fucking talking about that guy? Until I realized this was a fake name being used and shit.
Right.
But yo, it's crazy to think that if some dudes fuck the wife of some guy, the result is to kill the guys. Like, honestly, the way infidelity is handled in the hood is a very strange thing to me.
So
I don't understand. I'm not judging it. I'm saying I really don't understand how it drives it.
Hold on. Replace fucked with rape. That's how I took it. Like, I mean, that's kind of how I took it. I feel like
if that's the case, that totally makes sense.
Only,
I took it like
because I feel like Freddie's that type of boss person who would be like, did we not? I'll just cut you off.
Did we not in the last song just have the skit where she was playing around, and then he kills them both? Right, that was the last skit that we heard right before this song. I mean, yeah, maybe. Maybe
okay,
you're right.
So hold on, let's talk about it. Right, in the moment when you walk into the room, I could understand that rage thing. But I feel like as from what we've gotten from Freddie in terms of just being a boss, it's more like, yo, if you ain't fucking with me and you fucking with other people, I'm gonna cut you off and we're done. Like, I don't think he's gonna like.
So what the line says is, we found out some dudes banged your wife, and we killed them. That's what the line says. I said, I don't understand how infidelity is handled in the hood, because I really don't. And you're like, she was getting raped. I'm like, I mean, maybe, but that's a supposition with no.
I'm gonna agree with that because I don't because I guess I just don't understand.
Like in the last
why,
song, she was because in the skit that came right before
but I
it,
agree with
it
you,
sounded
like,
more like she was stepping out.
I agree with you.
So then we'll move on. That's the end of it.
But I do like that. I do like that line because it really brings you into like this realness of why they have to use fake names. It's more of this like Freddie's using fake names because he's actually out here doing some real.
And then he's describing stuff like how the numbers, they're getting shit for 17 and then moving it to me for 28, showing the markup they're getting. Then he gets to move it for 31, meaning he's really not making all that much off of it, so he barely ate. And then, you know, seeing them from when I started breaking that shit down, said I need more time with them chickens, I'm out here making rounds. And then the way people were behaving, they were kind of not playing in a conducive manner of teamwork to build up the city with some competition. And then it's like his boy almost like, so he left, his boy almost gets caught, and he's like, yo, fuck friends, because cash rules. And then he's got to like consider that, you know, he gets to move on, but his dude that basically fucked him over is how I took it, gets clipped. And then he starts the second verse. He's walking through hell in these size 12s. You know, it sets up for like this, I'm going to court and things, whatever. But I set it up proper. And then, like, literally just flips. Givenchy, my lapel, pouring up, 400 up, 3 bigs, I'm 100 up. And the rest of the verse is just like the beat's now celebratory.
Connected 2 lines because I done walk through hell in a size 12, speak it from my mouth before I let the time tell, dream legal, I never take an L, courtroom funeral. But I think it finishes like courtroom funeral fresh.
Yeah, because it's almost like his team like wins the case.
Well, he keeps just look. I took it as he just keeps looking fly. Like no matter where he is, he's never taking an L because he's always in like.
I feel
higher
like it's also bigger than that. Like I mean, yes, that's part of the writing, the fashion of he's gonna look good. But I took it more like he's always looking good in the sense that he was set up. They went to court. He lost $1 million in his court case, and they won. And then he fucking kind of came out, and then life has been good or whatnot. And then I felt like it was super flossy for the rest of the verse, and it was really like, you know, it was good. Like it felt almost celebratory. Like at that moment of the dark times are over, and it's like this song almost represents this pivotal transition of having to go from using these fake names to like maybe not needing it so much because you're past that shit. And then at the end, kind of remembering some girl he really liked, I guess. I like this song. I thought it was pretty fucking well done. I'm like, I just love the switch over because it catches you off guard. It's literally in the middle of a verse, and then it just feels like, again, like well written in the sense of every bar is delivered proper. The beat flip up's nice. Freddie rides it all, and it just keeps it alive and fresh. So it's another 4.5 on 5 for me.
What really stood out to me on this, and this is something that brought me back to the live show from Freddie Gibbs, was he actually can change that quick in real life. Like it's not no punch-ins or cut-ins or whatever. Like he actually goes from this slower type pace to this instant quickness and chops it around, and it's really cool to see how he can do it live and then be able to hear it in the booth when you've got all of these, like, you know, you can spit the verse again and this and all these, like when you really perfect it. So that was really cool to hear that off of this track. Overall, I left it with a 4.2. I enjoyed it. I thought it was cool. I thought it was real for what he was trying to say and what he was trying to do. I did kind of take it like fake names are fake names and how you want to use them, but he's really kind of coming at it like I had to have a fake name because I'm doing all of this shit. So yeah.
All right, so I should be telling you about how it's time to get some flat tummy tea, but yeah, we're gonna cut it for the part 1 because we're about halfway through, and again, look how long it's already been. If we keep going for another, it's just gonna be tedious for y'all. So I look forward to hearing what you have to say in the comments. You can hit subscribe so you can make sure you get notified of part 2 release, which will be real shortly. Leave a comment, join the conversation. You can hit that like button if you felt that shit. And yeah, special thanks to the patrons: Ismail Kadamsi, Chris Prado, Jonathan Barnes, DJ Black Hurricane, Linda Williams. They support what we do, helped us get a new camera. They can tell us what albums they want us to review. For $1 a month or more on the support, you can help us grow and become better. So we're gonna go record that second part right now. So peace.